Ready? We're filming. Anyway, today we're at Arnold's Way, and with my co-host Julie and Matt. And Matt's on day 4, I believe, right? Day 4 of we don't have no. Anyway, it's indefinite. Right now we're going to talk about breast cancer. And before, I actually thought of something funny before I was going to say this. We all have something in common.
What is it?
None of us wear bras. That wasn't that funny.
Well, it's you have to say,
and you all have breasts.
It doesn't really work without knowing what the video is about.
That's right. We're going to talk about breast cancer, and the reason why I keep on hearing the news about these 68 marches and that. So we're just going to give it from a different perspective. The first, and Julia is going to be our reader. Okay. Well, in my opinion, if you have breast cancer, there's 2 options, and it's really clear 2 options. Either you go raw or you go medically. There's absolutely no compromise, in my opinion. And what we're going to do is give you a different opinion from 4 different medical people of why you should go a different option. Number 1, and Julie's going to read this, it's called Induration. It's written by Dr. Herbert Shelton. He wrote this like 50, 60, 70 years ago. And it explains induration. Go ahead.
Okay, so those of you who don't know what induration
and medically they call it breast cancer. But
medically they call it tumor.
Tumor.
Carcinoma.
But basically, I'll read the definition. An induration is characterized by a hardening and filling in of empty space created by the destroyed tissue with fibrous elements known as scarring and encapsulation.
Encapsulation means the body takes all this acid waste and encapsulate it in an area that doesn't go into the bloodstream. To your benefit,
Yeah, so basically the toxins don't.
It's going to the bloodstream.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It is good.
And it's commonly known as a tumor.
Commonly known as tumor. And women, it's commonly known as breast tumor.
Or prostate tumor in men.
Or prostate tumor in men, right. Okay.
So this is the last intelligent thing that the body will do to prevent the spreading of the...
It means the body creates this tumor to your benefit. The last intelligent thing. So if a woman comes here with breast cancer, I will say excellent. Because this is the last intelligent thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, the body's trying to protect itself.
And this right now, we have a book by Dr. Christine Nafti. And what she did is on page 41, she talks about how she treated our breast cancer patients. Good.
Okay. So here's a case. There's a 38-year-old woman.
Very sweet title.
Okay, the title is Breast Cancer Disappears on a Raw Food Diet.
By Dr. Christine Nafti. Who actually was later kicked out of her country because she began treating all her patients with raw food and they didn't like that. Good.
Okay, so there was a 38-year-old woman who had an induration the size of a walnut in one breast. She had consulted her doctor and it had been agreed that an operation should be performed, the breast removed, and the armpit cleared.
Which happens all the time. This happens all the time. Diagnosis, 1 out of every 3 women will go to doctors with breast tumors, 1 in 6 will die. And that's why they're having a march 60 miles long so people don't die.
Well, and also, the first step there is they do the biopsy, which they open up the induration.
By the way, biopsy, what does that say? Page 9. I was ready for that. What does that say? I can't remember how much. What does that say?
Ask them.
What does that
Biopsy
say?
dangerous.
Biopsy dangerous. Okay, explain that, Matt.
Well, just like the induration that Julie explained is the body's way of sort of isolating the cancerous tissue, and if you biopsy it, you're literally opening that induration up, and the tissue then can spread through the body.
Throughout the body.
And then if you do the biopsy and it comes back that it is cancerous, then it's obviously when you go back to take it out, it's going to be more inflamed and it's going to be spreading because they just opened up that pocket that nature put in place for the last intelligent thing to stop this spread of it. So opening that pocket up it's completely irrational, and it's besides the influences of money in the pharmaceutical industry, it's really hard to understand how people can see that and think that there's any rationale to that.
They call it brainwashing.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, we won't say any more. Guys. I didn't say. Keep in mind, what we're saying, it's our opinion, and don't believe a word we say. We have 4 medical guys.
Okay, so in this case, during the 10 days preceding the operation...
10 days?
Preceding the operation, she lived exclusively on raw vegetables and fruits. On her return, she consulted her doctor. It was discovered that the induration at this time was the size of a grain of rice. It was before the size of a walnut.
Okay.
So she escaped the operation, and this patient is still living exclusively on raw vegetables and fruits, and has reduced her weight also by 22 pounds. Looks 10 years younger and feels better than she's ever felt
Oh, good.
in her life.
Next.
Well, let me just, because this is a long paragraph, but the main
This
point
is Dr.
of this
Neil,
book,
by the way, this is Dr. Neil Bernard, Food for Life, explains what breast cancer is in his opinion.
right, and it's
Yeah.
basically the gist of this to take on this is that the breast cancer month, all the propaganda and the push from the pharmaceutical industry and the breast cancer foundations like the Susan G. Komen and all that, they're funded by pharmaceutical companies. And this actually lists, if you get this book, it lists exactly, it's the ICI, I think, it's the Imperial Chemical Industry. So there's a
The makers
they
of
make tamoxifen, which is an anti-estrogen drug, which they use in the treatment of cancer. And the what they disseminate for these awareness months is early detection. But the thing is, early detection does not prevent cancer. Early detection basically makes it easier to treat cancer pharmaceutically. So
And it also gives you cancer at a much lower date, because you're being put with radiation in your body.
right, if you use the standard mammograms, and even
Right.
a lot of people now are using the other kind of, I forget what it's called, but
Right.
they use the
Thermograms.
thermograms.
Yeah.
But even so, you're only still finding it, and the cancer's already there. They're not talking about prevention through diet and things like that, because that just wouldn't fit into the narrative of the nation. And
And the other side of that, they are not, because Imperial Drug Company holds all rights to whatever, all the propaganda
Well, it's
rights.
connected all the
They
way
are
to-
not allowed to mention diet as an option.
yeah, it's connected all the way up to what what the Oval Office signs in to activate this as like a national program. So
Okay.
it goes pretty high up.
Okay, next
this is,
medical source.
What's her name?
Dr. Lorraine Day.
Lorraine Day, MD.
That's 3 doctors so far.
She
2
is
women
a
doctors,
doctor.
1 man doctor.
This is a movie you can see called Believing is Seeing, and she had breast cancer, and she tells her story about how she cured her breast cancer with completely naturally and without any sort of radiation or any of the pharmaceutical causes and stuff like that.
Okay, next.
Well, this is Judith Long. I don't really know too much about her. You know more about her than I do.
Yeah, she had breast cancer. She decided not to go medically. She went raw food and meditation and for the chakras, and basically she healed herself. So basically this film, I'm putting on right there, okay? I'd ask her permission.
You get better.
What? I'm getting better? Oh, good. Thank you. So we're kind of doing honoring the woman, listen to your body, make intelligent choices, but do your research.
And also, and going back to the joke in the beginning that was probably should have been in the end.
Okay.
but the reason, why don't you
Why
take
explain
it?
it? Yeah.
Okay, well, probably the main reason why I don't wear a bra, besides being that it's uncomfortable, is that it prevents, wearing bras prevents the lymph flow in your breast. So when there's a lack of energy flow, disease can happen. So that's the main reason I don't wear a bra.
Yeah, that happens with like a lot of clothes. That's what that one book was talking about. It's just like it cuts off circulation, and flowing circulation cuts off oxygen. And
By the way, the same old true for jockey shorts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Sterile men, they wear jockey shorts. That's why I wear boxers.
Well, I was gonna say
TMI.
I wish that was the reason I didn't wear any underwear, but but yeah, all that kind of stuff. You need the circulation, and
Right.
cancer it thrives in an anaerobic environment. So if you don't have oxygen and blood circulating, then you're not going to really have any chance of preventing the cancer. But the cancer prevention, we should say like you say that raw food is the best.
Well, this is one of 8 factors. The
Yeah.
root cause is the body healthy and conditions. Number 1, love. Without love, nothing matters. This is actually my book, The Way of Arnold. Number 2, species-specific diet. We're focused more fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
Actually, we had a film yesterday about a girl with brain tumor.
Yeah.
Almost completely went away in a matter of time.
Yeah.
Number 3, exercise. A big believer in rebounding. Number 4 is fresh air and sunshine. Water. Last is sleep. You gotta get your sleep in.
Yeah.
Everything is important. Food is one part, but you get to live off.
But a fruit and vegetable diet, it takes the load off of the body.
Takes the load off the body,
Cancer is
right.
a disease of excess. It's a disease of putting all this
Right.
junk into your body. And
Right.
another thing is, it's really important when facing these kind of illnesses the reason people go towards the conventional way is because it feels safer, and people get really afraid when they're facing a terminal illness, and it's really understandable and something we can be very compassionate and empathetic towards. But the problem is, if you react out of fear, you're acting irrationally as a divine being, as somebody who's connected to a much larger organism. And when you become afraid of basically yourself, you act irrationally. And when you do that, you start to make choices that might save you for the time being, but start to perpetuate harm in the rest of the living organism.
And basically, established medical community base everything on fear.
Yeah, and then but like
right.
if
They
you
scare you, they scare you.
If you
don't do it now, you're going to die.
But if you react to the fear,
right.
And it's not just the medical industry. If you react
right.
to the fear,
right.
you act irrationally,
right.
and you support an industry that creates great harm for the environment. It also through the system of through the market of pharmaceuticals, you're perpetuating a system that thrives on poverty and thrives on class and thrives on exploitation. So if we in order to sort of transcend that, we have to really always be conscious of our place in the greater organism, so that we don't let fear drive us into destroying ourselves in another area. I mean, it's like with the expression robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's like you can't just try to save one aspect at the expense of everything else, and you wouldn't be able to do that if you were always able to stay conscious in that reality that everything is connected. And it sounds trite because it's become so rhetorical in this sort of weekend spirituality kind of culture that we have, but if we really stay conscious about that, we won't always be reacting to fear. And the reason I say that it's important, and it's not just the medical industry, is because even in the health food industry, you have people who are putting out these natural cures that are basically just manipulations of nature that might be extending a life or giving some sort of a shelter to a life that is still using resources inefficiently. And if you would just remove yourself from the excess and change your lifestyle drastically, it would clear up, and then you would also be living by sort of the natural code. So a lot of times I see people who don't want to change their lifestyle, and they get dependent upon their things and attachments, but they also are really dependent and attached to their life. So then when these things happen and the fear takes over, they might have more of a natural philosophy, but they start looking at natural cures and like the natural pharmaceuticals and these natural remedies that don't address changing your lifestyle to remove the excess, remove the stress, remove the pollution. And if you don't do that, then you're sort of cheating. You're sort of saying, well, my life is more important than the lives that are going to be affected by the means I'm using to cure myself. And you might say, well, I'll just do that now and I'll give back later, but everything we do has to be consciously done as it's the only thing that we're doing, and make that decision there to sort of not let fear take over and make us act irrationally as if we're separate. And I think that's really important, especially with cancer, because it's really scary when that hits a family. We were just talking to some girls today,
yeah,
their family member is sick.
Our son had 16 years old, diagnosed with cancer, bedridden. I said, listen, I'm going to go over there today. I'll go over there and I'll talk to him. I was going to give him shots. I was going to have Deanna come with me. And he went in the hospital today.
And it's really hard to say that to a family member.
For 1 month. But this is, you have to be ready for it.
You're doing the wrong thing. You do have to be ready for it. And you have to really...
And you have to be open to different options.
It takes an entire lifestyle change, but you think when your life's on the line...
This is the way they believe in, now you have to kind of honor that.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're open for another option, absolutely. If they're not open for another option...
But we don't want to be supporting a major institution that's taking billions of dollars in order to perpetuate a cycle.
And I agree with you 100%, but you have to honor the family.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the family.
Right.
I just mean.
I agree. That's why we're making this film.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt's going to be with me for the next 6, 7 days, 8 days, 10 days. I don't know how long. So he gets tired of me. He's Arnold, enough of it. You're driving me nuts. And we're speaking here on next Tuesday at 7 p.m. By donation. Stop on by. Well, we're actually going to put it up today. And keep in mind, with breast cancer, keep in mind there are other options. Share this with your friends, family. It doesn't have to be the way it is. Anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay, anyway, this is live from Arnold's Way. You want to give a hug to? Yay! Bye! Bye!